all that does not carry any water, whether, it was rendering services, and they decided to change, those services to now where he believes his heart, because this is where his heart is now. His heart is where he thinks that his people have been marginalized. There's a atrocity being committed, and the government of the day refused to go after those perpetrating those atrocities. This situation that we are seeing ourselves is becoming alarming. And as I speak to you today, whether people agree with him now, but the atrocity is still being committed right under our nose. Whether you live in Nigeria or you live outside Nigeria, you are just also one out of so many to become a victim. So whatever is passed that individuals, groups of people are trying to use against him, as far as I'm concerned, does not carry any water, because he has said that this is where his heart is. His heart is, to liberate, let the people, the indigenous people that he represents, to be aware of the danger surrounding them. And if you look at the video I'm playing behind me, you would have to ask yourself, where is all the, the security that should have been protecting those areas? They refuse to. He has come out to defend, those regions, and is now being, chased by the same government that have used soft hand against people the government is calling bandit, as against the real terrorist that is creating havoc, not just within the Southwest, but within the whole country as we speak today.
All right, thank you, Koiki. Koiki, you will at some point be under a little bit of pressure as well, because there's been, I'm sure you've heard allegations of personal interest, self-interest, financial impropriety on your part as well. So all those things are out there, and of course, if you're willing, you go there at some point so that you can take them head on. But before you take them head on, I think Adele Koko, did you have a question for Koiki?
Okay, yeah, I have a question for him. Chief Sunday Igboho was the driver of the Yoruba Nation campaign, and he drove the vehicle very well. Everybody saw it all over the world. But now that Chief has been away, I won't regard it and being in Campaign has suffered a setback now. So, Koiki, what is the way forward? That is number one. Then number two, what is the latest report or latest situation on Chief legal case in Cotonou? We have not been hearing anything positive. We have been hearing a lot of rumor here and there. But I know you being the spokesman, you will be in a better position to let the world know the current situation with the legal matter in Cotonou with Chief Sunday Igboho. So those are my two questions for now.
In terms of whether the campaign to the Yoruba Nation movement has had a kind of hiccup or setback since July the 20th, I think what he has done is that it has actually given us more advantage than disadvantage. And the advantage is everybody around the globe now understand the real problem. And what is the real problem? A government that refuses to chase after the terrorists, but rather running after shadows. by trying to label an individual that has the right under the United Nations Charter to determine what part of the world he wants to represent as the indigene of a particular continent. July 20, from July 1st, after the invasion attack of his house, that 2 individuals were killed. It has now highlighted that even Professor Wale Soyinka says it's just, bull and, there's no charges against, this individual. But yet, we have a government chasing the wrong guy and leaving the terrorists like Sheikh Gumi and the rest of them, operating with impunity. So, it has galvanized more other areas that maybe we would not have been able to foresee. I remember when we started last year, hardly any mainstream media in Nigeria was ready to talk about us because they were more worried of the National Broadcasting Corporation to shut them down because of somebody like me that was having a conversation. But when Chief Sunday Igboho's house was raided, where 2 individuals were killed, animals were killed, 12 innocent Yorubas were taken away, and the last 2 spent almost 114 days. The 2 dead bodies have not been returned. So there was no other option for the mainstream media to pick up on that news. And that means the news now traveled more faster to areas that I would not have been able to touch. And that also then gave advantage. And I'll give you an example of that, of what Chief Sunday Igboho, who's been detained in Benin Republic, has actually highlighted. On Friday, there was a peaceful protest at the Beninese embassy in Washington, D.C. They were more worried because of that peaceful protest that they had to call in the 2 out of the individuals that went there for that rally into a conversation, at the High Commission in Benin Republic. And the reason they gave this because they do not want, this kind of disgrace to the embassy in Washington, D.C. at that location, because it was the very first time that, that was happening. So that means we were able to highlight the case of Chief Sunday Igboho at Washington, D.C. And if you look at the, again, the United Nations 76th General Assembly that just went past, it also shows that more people were ready to come out on that day for those weeks that they will be hosting those events. And we end up seeing what the federal government also have to now pay individuals $50 to tell us that there is nothing has literally stopped in terms of Chief Sunday Igboho being away. We've had, protests. The Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, was running away from me when he came to London at London School of Economics.
Yes, I saw you chasing him around.
He couldn't come out of the building for more than an hour. We locked him into the building until they were able to find one of the exits, maybe where they were putting delivery for food, to take him out. And that is meant to be a vice president. If he was doing right, why hasn't he come out, to speak to us, regardless of our own views? So what we've done is, we've been able to highlight, if you look at the June 12th.
Sorry to interject, Koiki, but do you hold Professor Shibanjo equally complicit in what is going on?
Why not?
Do you think
why not? Is Osinbajo not part of this government? Is he not part of this government that have looked into the killings of millions of Nigerians? Osinbajo is part of this government. So why should I be pointing my finger to Buhari and not point finger to Osinbajo? Is it because the Yoruba man? Why shouldn't I point finger to Fashola? Why shouldn't I point clear? Let's get this clear. There's not like a passenger here. Osinbajo is part and parcel of this government that said they were coming in to wipe off Boko Haram and to make sure that terrorists is no longer going to be, marauding themselves within the territory of Nigeria. And they've left the border open, about 1,900 porous border across the length and breadth of the country. Osibajo is part of this government, where dollar, as I speak to you right now, is almost going to $600. The exchange rate this morning to a pound is about 783 naira. So the inflation and the reason why millions of Nigerians are still under, I mean, I've got my work clock that gives me that this came in 2015, and since 2015, I'm just trying to get that out. Since 2015, as I speak to you right now, the poverty in Nigeria has not decreased. It has actually increased year on as I speak to you right now. So that means I'm just going to put that up so that I can give you, the right data, so I'm not, giving the wrong, statistics. So I'm going to take that statistics back to, let's assume that when this government came in, for the first 2 years, they couldn't get things right? So I'm going to pull back. Remember, I want you to put this, as of today, 86,849,507 million Nigerians are people living in extreme poverty. And out of that, we have...
Where are you getting that data from?
Well, you could worldpoverty.io. Okay. And I'm gonna give you that link so that you can be able to, get that yourself. Right? So this is a country where we are number 3. Global Terrorism Index, number 3. So what I want to do now is I'm going to move this data back to 2016. Right? As of 2016, the total people of the population of Nigerians in poverty was 70 million. So as at 2018, let's assume that when the government came in, there were,
So what's the increase? What's the number increase?
Well, so if you look at 2016, we had 70 million, and I take it back to 2021, where we are right now, is 86 million. So about 26 million Nigerians that Osibajo is part of the government has increased.
16 million. But what was the pre as data? Because that might well be a trajectory that runs all the way through. But let me leave that, because I don't essentially disagree with you, Koiki, by the way, because even all the international bodies have said that Nigeria is hemorrhaging poverty. We're reaching a new low. Do you know the middle class in Nigeria, Koiki? They are now having to substitute potato for yam. The middle, I'm not talking about people at the bottom rung. The middle class in Nigeria, in Lagos, they are having to substitute potato for yam because they cannot afford to buy yam. Yam that you buy and you throw half of it away.
Well, how do you buy those things when Benue, that is meant to be, according to what we've been told as we were growing up, the food basket of Nigeria, is being ravaged, by terrorists on a daily basis, as I speak to you right now. So all the farmers, I was laughing when I was watching, the governor of Oyo State, Seyi Makinde, I think last week, talking about agribusiness summit. What agribusiness summit is he talking about? When Wakilu has already left the prison and he might probably be coming back to attack our people. There's no security. We're talking about farming. How can you go into farming when there's no security? These were part of the issues that Chief Sunday Igboho was trying to, to talk about. When Dr. Fatai Aborode was killed, he was killed because he was operating on a land that the terrorist Fulani man did not want him to operate on. And that was why he was killed. He was a PhD holder from Germany. Came back, set up, a mechanized farming, to bring back, hope to his people. And now they've left him with a father and a mother that I saw, when we went to Igboho'S that same day on a Friday.
Okay, thank you, Koiki. So, Koiki, let me take you to this. So, is that you, Ajani? Are you feeling back? Or did you want to ask Koiki a question before I take him to the next question? I want to take him to July the 1st, but did you want to interject, Ajale Koko?
Yes. I don't think that Koiki has answered.
Well, I think with the legal part of it, let me quickly answer that. The legal part of it is like just our father, Professor Akintoye, have said, is the ongoing work. The system in Benin Republic is completely different from the system in Nigeria. We've got to remember they're not using the same system. You know, Benin is using a kind of a French system. As much as it's quite frustrating to so many people that he has been kept there without any reason because he hasn't committed any offense. But again, at the beginning of when it was picked up, just a few days after that, they went into what we call a recess for about a month. They've been back now. He has been to the court prior to now that they've been back. But again, it's still an ongoing work in terms of trying to get me out. I understand, there's a lot of, frustration out there, for somebody that hasn't committed any offense. But again, we just have to wait and see, the outcome of that as quickly as possible.
All right, thank you, Koiki. Okay, I just want, sorry, I just want to introduce yourself because we're getting a lot of things.
I'm trying to ask one more question. Okay, there's been report about his health, and it's giving a lot of us some kind of concern. How is chief health? How is the condition of his health now? Can you tell the world and let us know what is really going on with him?
Well, the Benin Republic are doing their own findings. It's taking longer, as more than what we want, but we just have to wait and see.
All right, thank you. So essentially, it came to blows on this platform. The opinions were so divergent and so held fervently. So now, what exactly transpired on that today? Several accounts. The number of people that turned up, did they give the right to surrender before they opened fire? Was our chief Igboho'S there? Because there are accounts that he was looking at them through his window, and then they tried to get at him. Did the people in the house try to resist the authorities? So many accounts, because we also saw Lady K, trying to live stream on that day, and she gave like the account she was giving is still vague and subjective. We debated that at length. So now the man on the spot, to give us an account then, in terms of the numbers of the people that turned up, how they presented themselves, did they follow due process to say, we're here to effect an arrest, please surrender yourself from your prison?
What? I don't understand what you mean by that. I mean, this is somebody that was right under the nose of either she was going to be alive or she was going to die. And 114 days. In terms of what happened on the 1st of July. What happened on the 1st of July is just something that will be remembered for a very long time. But what we can say is the government of the APC, Buhari and Osibajo and all their ministers decided to invade the house of a self-determination agitator, Chief Sunday Adeyemo Igboho'S. The house was not on a kind of search warrant, but rather a death warrant. So try to kill him and bring the body back if possible, and that would be the dead body of Chief Sunday Igboho. They arrived just before 1:35 a.m. And when they arrived as a criminal. But rather than being a criminal, these are mercenaries, because also there were French-speaking individuals that traveled with those convoy that eventually came to the house. It was not just a joint operation. It was more of an operation which we believe some international community must be involved in that operation.
Sorry, do you have an idea of the amount of personnel that turned up?
well, there were more than 500 that came. These individuals came with everything you can think of. Everything. I'm sure some of us that have listened carefully to those that have been released from the DSS custody even gave us the, evidence that they came with, with what we call abolition. So that means they knew what they wanted and they wanted to get it without taking it alive. So they were prepared for casualties. But what they didn't understand is they were coming into a peaceful home, a family home, a home of a man that lives with multiple numbers of people at different times, at different, opportunity that people wants to sleep there overnight. If they have the opportunity, everybody wants to sleep there because it's a family-friendly home. And if it's not a family-friendly home, it could have been restricted to some of the activities that it was doing in those houses. People come in and take pictures of the vehicles. We've seen pictures of kind of this, gatherings, celebrations, visitors. So this is not like a house where something was eaten somewhere and we didn't want anybody to know what was inside the house. But when they came in, they wanted to do collateral damage, and that was exactly what they did. You did ask whether there was a kind of an extinct battle, as Ifunanya, the 419 DSS spokesman, that eventually could not come out until almost midnight because they thought Chief Sunday Igboho was dead. That was why they kept it so late. So eventually when he came out, he gave a false impression. Oh, we've invaded the house. We found AK-45, AK-46, pump rifle. We found, a traditional outfit. We found passport. But what they did not tell the world is how much was stolen from that property. What they did not tell the world is how many traditional herbalists came with them. What they did not tell the world is how much gold was stolen in that property. What they did not tell the world is what happened to even a wireless speaker that was eventually cut away. What did not tell the world is how 2 people were killed in his house. What they did not tell the world is how come they went into the house and yet, they could not even leave the dead bodies behind. What they did not tell the world is they took away cards thinking that those cards would turn to be Chief Sunday Igboho. What they did not tell the world is how many machineries was imported into Nigeria prior to the day of the attack. What they did not tell the world is...
Sorry, what do you mean by machinery?
Well, you know the meaning of machineries. Machineries are people imported into a country to kill somebody.
All right. Okay.
So what they did not tell the world is why the Iwo Road was shut down in between the axes, because we have evidence of that. What they did not tell the world is how come that all this was happening and the chief security officer of a state, Seyi Makinde, says he's not aware of that atrocity. When even as far as New Zealand, Australia, people were waking up to the atrocity that was being committed right under his nose on the 1st of July 2021. Now we know that this government wanted to kill Chief Sunday Igboho so that the Yoruba nation would go quiet, and that never happened. Yes, he was at home when they came, but it was unable to kill him.
Yes, that's where I was taking you to. So thank you for going there. So, sorry, Ajani Koko, if you mute yourself for a moment. So how did he effect his escape? Is that Oroawo?
That is not necessary to be answered.
Okay, Oroawo. All right, Ajani Koko, you wanted to put something to...
Yeah, Koiki, I watched one of your videos after the incident happened, and you said his body to show that he shielded some people against gunshot or something like that. Could you confirm that to the world right now, people, our listener?
Well, all I could say is yes, if not the intelligence of Chief doing the right thing, maybe we could have lost all the remaining 12 that have now eventually been freed from the DSS. That's all I'll say.
All right, thank you. So now let's speak about you a little bit, Koiki, because of course I know you know that somebody as high profile as you are, a lot of speculation as to what your intentions are, who you are, and what you're doing. So allegations, of course, you would have heard of financial impropriety on your part, allegations that you are propelled essentially by self-interest, allegations of canvassing for money outside of what your remits are, and allegations also around a radio station that I was set up for 10 million. Somebody was just saying that just yesterday when I was saying that I will be having you on that you should be asked about a radio station with some lady called Dara or something. So all of that allegations are self-interest, self-aggrandizement, financial impropriety, canvassing for money, using the name of the chief. So all of that, I'm sure you've heard the allegations. So perhaps you now want to address some of them quickly.
Have you been given any evidence?
No. They are allegations, as I said.
So as long as the allegation without any evidence, there's no point going into it. All I can say is with the radio, I think Ilana Modua, Professor Akintoye has come out to elaborate on it, and I won't go into more details on that.
All right, thank you. So chat me through a little bit what you see as the synergy between the Yoruba agitation space and the IPOB space. Because often I listen to Chief Sunday Igboho when he's asked about the IPOB, is there a synergy, and he somewhat tries to distance somewhat that they are doing their own thing and we are doing our own thing. But do you see a natural synergy between those two narratives? The Biafra, let's not even say IPOB, but the Biafra movement and the Yoruba Nation agitation. Do you see a natural synergy?
I think people have different perspective and take when it comes to these. Some say they're Biafra, some say they're Igbo. But let's first look at it from the Nina's perspective. And I'm sure you know what is Nina's, if I may ask. And if you don't, probably just to educate some of our other listeners around the globe. NINA stands for the Nigerian Indigenous Nationality Alliance for Self-Determination. So these combine the Southwest, the Southeast, and also the Middle Belt. And if you've been following NINA's, they have been more of the this alliance territory. What do we mean by the alliance territory? The alliance territory means that somebody like me fighting for the Yoruba to let them know the atrocity and the danger that we are facing. That means I'm fighting under the alliance of the Yoruba land. Those fighting for the alliance of the Southeast might have different, because the reason why a lot of his messages that he was passing out. But I'm sure if we now review what Nnamdi Kanu was saying, and part of what we have been saying, whether from our traditional leaders, our politicians, you have to decide as an individual, what you believe in now, whether part of what Nnamdi Kanu was saying was right or not. They are fighting for the same self-determination as we are fighting. And I don't see any reason why, in as much as a lot of people disagree with my views on that, I've always said that I've lived there in UK for the last 2 decades, and I've not lived with